Is your method of obtaining referrals crisp? Well, if it's not, we're going to show you how to make it so right here, right now on the System University. I hope you've watched some of the other videos as it relates to referrals here on the System University. We've got some very short clips that we've talked to you about. First of all, how important obtaining referrals are to help you to continue to move your business forward. We talked to you about the value of having a systematic approach. In other words, a place in where you obtain referrals so it's part of your selling process and you don't forget. We've also talked to you about how important it is to have a referral script, to have a process that you use that will help you be more effective in obtaining referrals more often. So in this video, we're going to talk about the system's unique concept and process of obtaining referrals. And it's called C.R.I.S.P. C.R.I.S.P. Now what I'm going to do is sort of two parts here. First of all, I want to explain each of these elements to you and what they mean, and then we'll show you how to actually execute the process so that you can come back to this video and watch it again and again and be able to really make that presentation internalized and natural so that you can be more effective in helping more families and in the process obtaining more leads and in the process getting more prospects that will allow you to make a presentation. So here are the elements of the C.R.I.S.P method. First of all, it starts with the C. The C means that you compliment the family. You compliment them on making this wise and loving decision to secure this protection for their family. It's not about thanking them for the sale. It's not about you. It's about them. And it's about your privilege to serve them because they've made this wise decision to secure this protection for their family. Then the second thing is that you, for the R, remind. You want to remind them about the personal planning organizer. Remind them of how valuable this tool is and get them to agree with you that yes, it was a valuable component of their pre-planning process. And then you want to also remind them that one of the services that we provide is to see that as many people as possible get a copy of this valuable resource. Now in the warm-up and perhaps even in elements of the personal planning organizer, you have been identifying individuals that are in their family, close friends, that live within your market that you would want to suggest later that we give them a copy of this book. So the next step is to identify. So you will mention some of the folks that you've identified earlier as you've gone through your process. Now you don't talk about it as you're identifying, you're just making mental notes. Okay, they've got an older brother that lives here in the community and I'm sure he'd want his brother and wife to have a copy of this book as well. And then from other family members, close friends, you're just identifying, making those mental notes as you go through your presentation, and you'll come back to them later. And then the next part of the process is to suggest. You're going to suggest because, again, if you did the proper warm-up, you're going to know a little bit about some of their community involvement, whether it's in civic groups or perhaps they're very active in their church or other aspects in the community. And you're going to want to suggest that maybe they've got some close friends in there that they've developed real strong relationships with through the years, that they may want them as well to have a copy of one of these personal planning organizers. Because you're identifying people that they care about and they'd want to have the same advantage of having this resource as they have had. And then thirdly is for the P, and that's promise. So what you want to do is, at the very end of that is that you want to make a promise that you will do everything you can to ensure that each of these names that they've given you, that you'll reach out to them and make every effort to see that they get their own personal copy of this personal planning organizer. So those are the different elements, and it's important for you to know what you're doing in each phase of this process so that you can be effective. So now let's go through that as if we were actually speaking to a family. Now remember, when it comes to identifying people. I'm only going to use one family member, but hopefully you're going to have identified and be able to mention 3 or 4 that you'll want to have access to try to give them one of these valuable planning guides. So the process would go like this. I want to compliment the 2 of you for making this loving and wise decision to protect your family. And we really appreciate you trusting our company to help you with this process. And I want you to know what a privilege it's been for me to help walk you through this process. And I want to remind you again about the personal planning organizer. Now remember, there's some additional information that you're going to need to supply it with so that it will be able to do what it's designed to do, which is help guide your family through one of the most difficult and trying times of their life. I believe you would agree that this too is an important part of your planning process, wouldn't you? Well, that's what most all folks tell us and agree with that statement. Because so many families respond to us that way, one of the additional services that we provide to families here in our community is seeing that as many people as possible get a copy of this personal planning organizer. Now, if I remember from our discussions earlier, sir, you shared with me that you had an older brother. I believe his name was Robert, if I recall. And I can only assume you would want Robert and his wife to have a copy of this valuable resource as well. What was Robert's wife's first name? Now, you mentioned earlier you're a part of a civic group here in the community, which you've been participating in for, I think you said, some 25 years. Now, I can only assume that there are other individuals that you've become very close to in that 25-year period that you'd like to see that they get a copy of this great resource as well. Who might 1 or 2 of those people be? Now that I have this list of individuals, I want to promise you that I'll make every effort to get in touch with them and see that they get their own personal copy of the personal planning organizer. Now, that's the basic script. You need to internalize that, keep it simple, keep it to the point, and make it a part of your selling system. Those are the things that will help you be effective. You're in the people business, and as long as you've got people to talk to, you're in business. And the minute you don't, you're out of business. And that's what referrals can help you do, is have a very sustainable and consistent sales process through having a lot of people to talk to. So let me encourage you, learn this simple method, this simple process, this systematic approach to obtaining referrals. And I know from experience that you're going to obtain more referrals more often from more families. You see, this process is like any process. It's just as effective and consistent as you are in using it. It's that simple. So I encourage you. Use it. Seems like a good idea. You know something else you need to use? And that's the other principles that you'll find right here on the system. Because if you'll follow the system will lead you to success.